Alright, we're live for Split 1, Race 1, Season 2 of the Formula Talks Racing League. So the way the races work, it's 50% race with a short qualifying. Damage is reduced, and after the race we will invite some drivers for interviews and just to hear what they have to say about the race. It's been nearly an hour and I'm still... don't worry, Evan. We'll get them next time. Don't you worry, we had the pace, We just need a little bit more luck, to be honest. Me and Evan both got DNF'd by the Renault guy. Yeah, we both DNF'd. I mean, I didn't DNF because of the Renault, I actually crashed myself. But Evan got absolutely screwed by the Renault guy. Hello, welcome everyone. Split 1, it's pretty tight I think, if it's about pace. Last year we had the championship decided on race wins, because 1 and 2 tied on points. Right now we have 15 drivers, I don't know if that's the complete field, but I'm pretty sure we will start soon with qualifying. For the people that are watching and don't know how this is set up, it's basically short qualifying, 18 minutes, race distance is 50%, damage is reduced, there's no ghosting, so that's challenging, because that pull but choke my start a bit. I started in P11, P12, and Evan was P10 or 9 I think. I only had one run of qualifying as well, because I spun the other times and I kinda gave up, but yeah, I still had a quite good position to start in. Yeah, I mean you had a quite good qualifying as well. All of us were pretty surprised about your pace and stuff like that. You know, we didn't expect you to be that fast, to be honest. Now I see that some drivers are readying up, so we should be starting very soon. I didn't expect it. Yeah, we were pretty surprised. I mean, we had some thoughts that you might have some pace, but you really performed well, you know. We expected you to be in like a top 5 or something like that, but you did really amazing. Of course, unfortunately, that the race had to end in the way with all the crashes. But yeah, that's racing, you know. And so qualifying starts 18 minutes to put out your best performance, your fastest lap that you can possibly do. Now I wonder if you might have some surprises, you know, some new guys in the league who might out qualifying some of the top guys from last season. Let's hope so. Now here we see Itskura in the Renault driving out already, followed by Galactic Nerd in the racing points. Yeah, it wasn't a clean race. Yeah, it was fun, even though I got annoyed on the safety car and stuff like that. It was a pretty fun race. It was a pretty fun race indeed. We learned a lot about the drivers. Now I see plenty of people going out already for their fastest lap. Nobody is really waiting. Everyone is going out fast. And I think it will be Galactic Nerd who's going to set the first time, since he's driving in front of the outlaps. So we'll spectate him for a little bit. I also see here that there's quite a lot of people behind each other, so that might cause some trouble. But yeah, we're on board with Galactic Nerd for the first run of the Formula Talks qualifying. Oh, we have a yellow flag, but I think it's just because of people going slow. So I'm not gonna be bothered with it. As we're now on board with Galactic Nerds. Galactic Nerd on the last season of Formula Talks League Racing managed to win in a wet USA Grand Prix as well. And here is Sam with the first qualifying lap. It's a 119.9. 122.3. reduce it to 125. And we have a Renault, a McLaren with DNF. Yeah, he DNF'd in a tricky spot on track as well. We are on board with Godzilla, Yarno I mean. Formula Talks takes the lead with a 19.920. It's pretty close on P1 and 2. We are on board with Killian, who's about to set his time. And he puts it on P7. Now I think, you know, everyone has set their time. Ooh, Yarno here, going very aggressively. And here comes Yarno with his first qualifying time. Puts it in P4. Alex, FRL Alex on his outlap as well. Everyone has set their time except for Alex, but he's on his outlap, and Pocho in the Williams as well. Now as we see, the winner of last year's FRL in P6 right now, not really at the same level as last year I think. But it's just qualifying, so who knows, he might get another fastest lap. And the guy who's ended the championship in P2 last year, Yarno, on P4, already out qualifying his rival from last year. Ironically enough, they're the Red Bulls as well this year. We'll go on board with Alex for his qualifying lap. Sector 3 a yellow flag, but it's Alex who's going slow to have the perfect exit to start on his fastest lap. There's a car exiting the pits as well, but he waits. It was the Haas from Godzilla on P5. For the people watching, what are what do you think is going to happen in the race? What are your predictions for this race, maybe the championship already? Who do you think is a real contender for both of them? FRL Alex almost done with his qualifying lap. Yeah, Evan is right. I mean, it wasn't fun if you get taken out like that, but it was pretty alright for the racing itself, I think. Besides that, and here's Alex with his first qualifying lap. He puts it in P1, takes pole from Formula Talks himself. Here comes Pocho with his qualifying lap. Puts it in P12, P12 for Pocho. Oh, here we have Alex. But I think he just left some space for the guys on their flying lap or the out lap. We'll go on board with F1 Hub. F1 Hub is someone with the right pace to follow up with the rest of the guys, but he has been, you know, he's been an underdog league last year. He has some pace, has some great racing. And he puts it on P3 as well, right as I said it. They found up showing a lot of potential here in the beginning of the league. We'll go on board with Godzilla in the Haas. And he gets straight into the pits, alright. We'll go on board with Carter 22. Goes almost too wide. And here he comes for his second qualifying time. Puts it up to P1 with a 19.812. The bar is being set very high already in this qualifying session. We'll go on board with the one and only Formula Talks. As he slows down. Didn't look like he was in his outlap, so I think he just left this one. We'll go on board then with Galactic Nerds for his second time. Stays on P5. Tyler maybe. P6 still. Hey Ryan, how you doing, man? Thanks for watching the commentating stream. Hope you enjoy the racing. Hope you're doing good. As we're on board with Itskura, who's sitting still on his outlap, yes. Currently it's Carter on P1 with a 19.8, Alex P2 with a 19.9, and Formula Talks with a 19.9 as well. As now we have Ichikura starting his fast time. Most of the guys are in the pits now, as everyone is preparing for their last flying laps. Cura is setting a faster time at the moment, but not with that much of clearance. Now here we're at the tricky part for Cura. He's been struggling with this little part. Whole preparation for the league. Gets through it cleanly, no problem at all. His teammate Juicy Juice is on P11, so P11 and P12 for Renault right now. And here we have Ichikura with his second fast lap of the qualifying. Puts it in P11 and over his teammate Juicy. Looks like Renault is really on pace with himself. We are here on board with Godzilla, who set the fastest sector 1, I think. He's in P8 right now in the Haas. A little bit of a luck up. Now let's see if he lost a lot of time with that. Puts it in P1 with a 19.7. What a lap from Godzilla. Now everyone is in the pits or on their outlaps. I don't know, maybe Pocho right now. And the Williams puts it on P9. Who's here on their outlap? F1 hub. F1 hub currently in P5. Yeah, Ryan, the Split 2 race was a disaster, man. There was a lot of carnage. With like 2 or 3 safety cars. As we're now on board with F1 Hub. El Pocho retired from the session. I think he crashed on the tricky chicane. Also the chicane, the part where F1 Hub is coming up to. This is exactly where Pocho DNF'd. Quite understandable. If you make a little mistake here, you just absolutely get sent to the wall. But now F1 Hub doesn't look like he will improve his time. Maybe he will. He puts it on P1 with a 19.729. A lot of people are on their outlap. I will go on board with last year's champion Felix. Harry has Harry has a lot. Ooh, and it's Felix who spins it. Now I wonder if he can recover from this. It doesn't look like he has damage, I think. Is this some qualifying drama for the last year's champion? We'll go on board with Alex, who is currently in P4 with a 19.904. I think that's F1 Hub who retired from the session as well. On board with Alex now improves with 4/10 in Sector 1. He has traffic in front of him. Oh, it's not traffic. Everyone is on their fast lap right now. So now I wonder if he gets the fastest Sector 2 right now. It's Kura retired. Ooh, he retired in the tricky section as well. I warned him plenty of times about this. Killian puts it on P9 right now. Formula Talks put it on P2. Alex puts it on P1. P8 for Juicy. Galactic Nerd, what can he do? P4. P7 for Tyler. And it's P2 for the other Ferrari. Ferrari 1-2 right now. I see Jarno has crashed at the final straight. Here is Godzilla. Puts on P3. But we still see something from Jarno and Felix in the Red Bull. Here's Felix, what can he do with that time? And that's qualifying done. Felix, the last year's champion, puts it in P8 on his final lap. We have a Ferrari 1-2, a Haas, McLaren, Formula Talks on with the AlphaTauri, Galactic Nerd on the Racing Point, Tyler in the Alfa Romeo, Felix in the Red Bull managed to save himself on P8, Juicy in the Renault and Jarno in the Red Bull on P10. That's our top 10 for the race today. Yes, it's a Ferrari and a German 1-2. They're taking over again. Not really the qualifying I expected from Felix. As a former champion, you have a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and I think it really showed today that he has to perform very well and can't make any mistakes. If you have any predictions for the race, let me know. The game may not be suited to Felix. That can be a problem, yeah. That can be the cause. But after all, it's only the first race of the season. Felix has always been a race type of guy. Yeah, that's true. Felix's race pace is kind of better than his qualifying pace, so it's definitely not over for him. There's a lot of people I expected more from. Here we go with the formation lap. Yeah, I think turn 1 may cost something. Smiley Skull on P15 didn't set a time, unfortunately, because I was quite excited to see his race pace. The Renault, the McLaren P14 DNF'd as well without a time. Kinda disappointed in my guy Itskura. But yeah, he spun at a section that was very tricky for him. The Pocho in the Williams P12, Kilian in the AlphaTauri P11, Jarno in the Red Bull P10, Juicy in the other Renault P9, Felix in the Red Bull P8, Tyler in the AlphaTauri P7, Galactic Nerd in the Racing Point on P6, the one and only Formula Talks in the AlphaTauri on P5 has quite a good position to gain some during the start. F1 Hub surprised me with his pace in qualifying on P4. Godzilla P3 in the Haas, showing very strong. Karzer in the Ferrari. Here is the predicted pit stop strategy for everyone. I think it's going to be a soft to hard. It's basically a Ferrari 1, 2 and 3 if you think about it. Yeah, the pit stop strategy is a nice addition. Yeah, it's going to be less chaotic than Split 2 for sure, I think, but I mean, you never know. The predicted strategy again, soft to hards, or else 2 times softs and mediums. That's what the race says. As we get ready for the first... Oh, we have to wait for... It's quite some waiting for Smite Kyle, who's taking his time on the formation lap. But yes, as we get ready for the first race for the Formula Talks Racing League, Season 2, Race 1, Australia. Pro Tactics by Smite Cow in the Mercedes, yes indeed. as we get ready for 5 red lights. Here we go. It's a great start by P1. Looks like everyone got cleanly through the start. I'm seeing some debris. I don't think there's been a crash. Formula Talks already gained a position. As we focus now for a second on P1 as my time board was glitching out. Let's go epic. It is currently still a Ferrari 1. A strong start from Godzilla, who gained P2 from P3. Let's hope everyone gets cleanly through this section. Here we have Smiley's car still at the back. Itskura dropped positions at the start, not a great position for him. Now is the question, can Alex gain? That's what it looks like at the moment, as everyone is still within a second. There's a little bit of a gap forming here as we have Galactic Nerd making a move with his Formula Talks, who defends on both of the cars. Formula, ooh, and it's, we have a crash, Galactic Nerd saved himself quite good there. Now we have a lot of people bunched up here at the midfield. And it's Felix and Tyler spinning at the same corner in the same way, and he's taking F1 Hub with him. It's a disaster for the Split 1 race. We have Felix, the championship winner of last season, who spun with Tyler and took out 2 other guys. Synchronized spinning. We have a virtual safety car right now, as we have Alex on P1, Godzilla P2, Carter P3, Formula Talks P4, Yarno P5, Galactic Nerd P6, Juicy Juice 7, Killian P8, El Pocho P9, the McLaren guy P8, P10, Smiley's car on P11, and we'll go racing again as well, as we go to the front of the race real quick. And it's Alex with a great start on the virtual safety car as he makes a gap on Godzilla. DRS is enabled right now. As Jeff would say, DRS is enabled and will be used by the car in front when you're in within of 1 second. 5-second penalty for F1 Hub, who was speeding in the pit lane. That's unfortunately also for Felix, who had to pit after the crash. He was some side by side with Juicy Juice and Galactic Nerd as we're going on board with Killian. El Pocho also getting involved. And it's Killian who goes in the grass and has to give the position to Pocho. As we are for P9, have the other McLaren trying to make a move on the inside. It doesn't get it. Killian with great defense. Let's go back to the front of the race as Godzilla is gaining some time on P1. We'll go on board with the Ferrari in P3. We have a yellow flag. Is that Pocho? Yes, it was. Carter, who sets the fastest lap with a 1:23.8. With Galactic Nerd going into the pits. There might be contact with Pocho or something, because he was going slow as well. It has been an excitement start of the race already. And we have F1 who retired from the race, unfortunately. We have the safety car deployed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what the pit stop strategy will be of most of the drivers. So unfortunate for F1 Hub. Alex spun. Oh yeah, I see. Alex lost the position. Yeah. Yeah, I was focused on Harry who spun with the MF. Let's see if I can invite him to the party if he wants to talk. Now I wonder if F1 Hub will join us for a quick chat to see what happened to him. Because he was very unfortunately showed the pace in qualifying. Drive-through penalty for the McLaren of ASDF Kimi. As you can see, everyone started on the softs except for Kyle, who started on the mediums. People are now making pit stops and going on the hards as expected. Harry, my guy. What?
Idiot. Honestly,
you showed a lot of pace in qualifying. You looked very good in qualifying as well. What happened? Was it a tricky section at the little, at the DRS zone before that? Was it there where you DNF'd?
Yeah, the chicane.
Yeah,
but it was ruined before then anyway.
Yeah. It was unfortunately that you got caught up with the spin of Felix and Tyler as well.
No, it was before that. I mean, we come out of turn 2 and Sam decides he's going to go on the grass and spin, and then I break my front wing.
That's unfortunately.
Such a joke, honestly. I needed points today.
Yeah, you showed a lot of pace during qualifying, and I think you can really manage to gain a lot of positions back in the standings after this race.
Thanks, Summer.
Yeah. Don't worry, mate, you get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, understandable. You had the pace, you were there.
It's just, I was thinking, right, all I want to do this season is to not get relegated. That was the perfect opportunity to
with
get
the pace you already showed in qualifying and the first few laps of the race. If you're lucky enough and don't get caught up with the crash, I think you could manage to stay in Split 1 easily. Everyone in chat on the stream is already saying that you're showing a lot of pace.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah man, take care.
I'll read them in a bit.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. See ya.
Bye. As we have here Godzilla on P1, but he gets overtaken by Carson, who might make a move. Ooh, Godzilla locked up. Let's see. Unfortunately, Alex, who lost 13 positions already. That's very unfortunately because he was fast, he has pace. Smiley Skull is the winner of the race at this moment with 8 positions gained. He will stay on the front of the race at the moment, since it's really close. F1 Hub set. Yeah, Harry is really fast. Last season he was kinda like a midfield more, that's almost at like lower midfield, but he's coming back strong on this game. You can already tell by his qualifying pace here in Australia, which isn't that easy to gain a lot of time. Also, Formula Talks in P4. Juicy Juice and Killian battling it out. The Smiley Skull might catch up as well. Smiley Skull, who's driving an amazing race starting from P15 and is now in P7 already. As we go back to the front of the race. If you guys have any questions or if you think something is gonna happen, if the race might, I don't know, turn all the way around, let me know. Let me know if you think who's already showing a lot of pace. Maybe someone you think who might not make it in Split 1. I know it's still early in the season, but I want to know what you guys think. Now we're at the time in the race where everyone is like their suited position, where it's just them. Eddie will be carrying us. Yeah, Eddie will be for sure carrying us. He has a lot of pace, keeping up with P1 easily. So now which team are you in Split? I'm in the Alpha Tauri with Evan. Now Eddie lost some time. Let's see who's close to someone else. Juicy Juice trying to catch Smiley Skull, but Smiley Skull showing some great pace today. 3-second penalty for Eddie in P2. Multiple warnings. Might have been corner cutting. With Tyler over here, who has to make his way back up. Same for Alex and for Felix. Was so unfortunately that they collided and spun into the same corner actually. They synchronized on the spin. They took 2 cars with them. Was very unfortunate. Here we have Galactic Nerd who's trying to get the points today. Catching up to P10. It's Kura. Tricky section of the track here. Both of them come out cleanly. Galactic Nerd with the DRS for P10. Easy move. We'll stay on these guys for a bit. Fighting for the last points. As we have Pocha going into the pits. Kura as well going into the pits. Pit window is open. Suggested pits strategy is going for the mediums. We see here everyone going for the hards. I'm curious where Smiley Sky will end up, since he is the only guy from the whole pack who started on the mediums. Everyone is at their beloved positions at the moment, I think. Because, yeah, it's a stage in the race where everyone is just driving on their position, gaining some time, losing some time, going into the pits as we have Formula Talks going into the pits. Gets overtaken by Smiley Skull and Killian. 5-second penalty for Juicy Juice. Speeding in the pit lane as well, that's very unfortunately. As we're on board right now with Tyler, who's closing up to Felix on P11. Smiley Skull over here, closing in on Killian as well. Kyle is driving an amazing race in my eyes. Start P15, already P5, of course hasn't pitted yet. Now at the back, what can happen here as Felix and Tyler are catching up to Juicy Juice. Juicy, of course, just got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. At the front we have Smiley Skull getting closer with the DRS on Killian in the Alpha Tauri. Killian going into the pits now. Kyle, of course, on the mediums, gets a longer run. Eddie in the pits, Jarno in the pits as well. Kyle on P2 now. And we have a yellow flag, we have a yellow flag. Is Juicy Juzua's gone off? Again, it's a very tricky part of the track where he has gone off. As we have Formula Talks trying to get P3 from Eddie. Sector 3, again a yellow flag. Now, almost everyone has had a pit stop except for Kyle, who's on the mediums and has a longer run. And the guy in front, Carter, in the Ferrari P1, has to pit as well. Same with Kimi on P7 in the McLaren. We have Juicy going to the pits again. Unfortunately he crashed, so had to go for a wing change probably. As we have now Formula Talks hunting down Godzilla into the Haas. We have P1, the Ferrari Carter, now leaving the pits. This will be very interesting, as both of these guys, Eddie and Formula Talks, are setting up the pace, you know, battling each other. So I'd like to know if the Ferrari and P2 could manage to make a gap again, or if he gets caught up in this fight. As we have here, sorry for breaking up with the front of the race, but the former champion of the Formula Talks race. As a former champion, you have to feel a little bit of disappointed in yourself if you manage to spin and lose a lot of positions and then not even drive into the points at the moment. We will go back to the front real quick to see if Formula Talks is catching Eddie in the Haas. We have Kimi and Pocho fighting for P8. Kimi going in for his first stop. Had a quite over a long run on the softs. Felix takes the points as he's hunting down Tyler in the Alpha Romeo, or as Tyler likes to call it, the Alpha Male car. Still have Formula Talks trying to catch Eddie in the Haas on P3, as Carter is already gaining a lot of time and leaving a gap on the two fighting cars. Kyle still continuing on the mediums. 3-second penalty for Tyler, multiple warnings as well. This is going to be unfortunately, as he has Felix right behind him. Everyone is outside of the DRS zone almost, except for Felix behind Tyler. Formula Talks is always in and out of the DRS zone of Eddie on P3. go to Formula Talks real quick, who's gaining a lot of time on Eddie right now. Has the DRS. Can he make a move for P3? Eddie defends the inside as Formula Talks tries to go around the outside. I think they touched a little bit and Eddie spins. Sorry for me breaking away, but I'm getting a phone call from some dipshit who was supposed to drive in Split 2. Don't worry, I'm not picking up the phone call as he can suck my ass, as I would say. Because I am commentating right now. As of now, Felix still hunting down Tyler in the Alfa Romeo for P9. There was contact between Formula Talks and Eddie for P3. Not sure if it's going to be leaving any circumstances or consequences rather for Formula Talks. I don't think so. But that's not up to me, as we have now Felix trying to make a move on Tyler. But Tyler is just defending it right the whole time. As a former champion of the league, you want to get past by of these guys real quick and gain as much as points possible. And if you keep getting stuck behind someone who's defending this nicely and this good, this should be frustrating. As you're now Felix has the DRS and makes the move and gets P9 from Tyler. Tyler keeping right behind him. Tyler with the DRS, of course. As he makes a move down the inside in turn 1. He gets it. Felix now right behind him. Tyler gets the DRS. Felix has a slipstream down the outside. Tyler squeezes it a little bit. And we have Felix who lost it. Oh. Felix hit the wall. Felix hit the wall. As we have Kyle with a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Also Carter gaining on Kyle pretty quickly. I think Kyle might have to come in to change his mediums. Kyle still staying out. We have now Carter with the DRS on Kyle. Kyle with the defense. I have to say it is a pretty exciting race as Kyle goes wide a bit. Both of these drivers pretty respectfully against each other, as you can see. Carter staying right behind Kyle's gearbox as well. Will this cause any trouble? Carter going down the outside of Kyle. This is gonna get tricky as they get... Ooh, he gets it done. Ooh. Kyle kinda lost it in the corner there. Managed to keep it straight on track. I do think it's about time that Kyle has to bid for new tires. What tire he will get on, I have no idea. I think he's staying out on the mediums as long as possible and might go for softs. As we now have the pack a little bit split. Nobody really in the DRS. We We have Formula Talks gaining a little bit on Kyle as well. Welcome Harry, welcome. Yeah man. It's unfortunately that it happened, to be honest. Galactic Nerd who left the session. No idea how he got in P1, to be honest. I think it just glitched. Or was he in P1 the whole time? Because it didn't show for me. It's definitely glitched. As we now have Galactic Nerd all the way back to P7. We have Formula Talks who gained a lot of time on Smiley Skull. Smiley Skull again on the long run on the mediums. I think it's time for a pit stop. Yes it is. Smiley Skull going into the pits. Formula Talks takes P2 and Eddie takes P3 in the Haas. Now Harry, it is indeed very unfortunately that you had to DNF. I really wanted to see where you would have finished this race, to be honest, because you had the pace. You had a lot of improvement since last season as well. We have Pocho behind Galactic Nerd. Where's Felix? Felix P11. The former Formula Talks League champion in P11, outside of the points unfortunately right now. We have 10 laps to go. On board with Jarno in the Red Bull on P4. Positions. Let's see, Smiley Skull with 9 positions gained. Alex unfortunately lost 9 positions as well. There's not that much going on right now. We have Felix trying to hunt down Alex in the Ferrari for the points. F1 Hub has left the session. With Pocho who's gaining time on Galactic Nerd for P7 as well. Smiley Skull who came out P6 went from mediums to softs, gaining time on Killian, hunting him down. Kyle, of course, on the faster tires. Here he comes down the inside of Killian. Takes the position as it will get tricky to here. Kyle went a little bit wide to the dirt, but managed to save it. Kyle immediately winning some time versus Killian as he is on the faster tires as well, of course. Pocho behind Galactic Nerd for P7 still. Kyle with the fastest time on with the 1:22.8. I'm not surprised by that, as everyone is on the hards, I think, except for Kyle who is on the softs. Yes, as you can see, P13 and P14 on the mediums, the rest on the hards and Kyle on the softs. Now we have Felix into the pits, onto the softs. Felix still into the pits, loses a position versus Cura. Might lose a position, loses a position on the McLaren. We have sector 1 yellow flag, as it was Felix leaving the pit lane. Cura 25 seconds behind the points. Pocho still trying to catch Galactic Nerd on P7. We have Galactic Nerd going to the pits. Will he go for the softs? Will he go for the mediums? I think it will be a soft change. We will see. As Galactic Nerd gets the softs on the car, probably wants the fastest lap as well. Tyler going down the pits as well. Onto the softs. A lot of people here close to the top 10 want the softs for the final lap. For the fastest lap rather, I'm sorry. Now we have Eddie trying to catch up with P2 of Formula Talks. Both of these guys showing great pace already this year. We have a yellow flag. It was a yellow flag for Felix. Is there damage on the car? Not really. As we go back to Eddie real quick into the house. Now, the difference in Split 1 and Split 2. Split 1, 23 laps done, 1 DNF. While in Split 2, we had 19 laps done and we had 10 DNFs. Eddie with a bit of a lockup. Eddie lost some time in the last corner on P3 or P2, sorry. Now let's go on board with Felix, who went into the soft, who is a master of the fastest lap as well. Same for Galactic Nerd. Of course for Felix on the softs, if he gets the fastest lap, he isn't doing that much, since he's outside of the points as well. Galactic Nerd on the other hand is in P9. The extra point of the fastest lap can help him a lot as well. And Galactic Nerd is the fastest lap in a 22.3. Tyler with 21.9. Ken Felix set even a faster time than Tyler. No, he can't. That's unfortunately as we go on board with Kira in the Renault. Gained some positions, lost some positions as well, but he's showing great fighting spirit this race already. He's unfortunately on the hards, so the slower tire than Felix right behind him on the softs as well. So him keeping this position would be very impossible, unfortunately for him. Felix gaining time fast on its Cura, but again, Felix on the softs, Cura on the hards. Seems pretty normal to me that Cura will lose this position before the end of the race, or maybe even before the end of the lap. Felix with the DRS. Cura just lets him past. Smart move. No really need to defend on that. No way you can keep him behind anyway, since he's on the faster tires as well. Loses time fast on Felix as well. Very unfortunately. We have Juicy going to the pits. He will get the softs as well. Now with people getting into the softs. Front of the race on the hards, except for Kyle on the softs. Kyle might get a podium. Chances are not high for Kyle getting a podium, but it is still possible since he's on the softs. We have 3 more laps to go as well. Welcome McGames to the Formula Talks League Racing commentary live stream. Kyle going a bit wide into the dirt, lost a lot of time. As we go on board with our leader in the race. Has a comfortable 6-second gap in P2 with 2 laps to go. Felix still in P11. As I said, our former champion of last season. Kyle in P5, trying to catch Jarno in P4. Jarno already putting out a statement against Felix. Both of them tied last year on points. Now if there's anyone you want me to interview after the race, let me know who. Kyle, yes, I will interview Kyle for sure. Kyle gained 10 positions this race. Nah, I'm not interviewing Harry and Sam, I'm not gonna do it to Harry. But I will interview Kyle for sure, since he gained 10 positions I think this race. And most likely will finish top 5. Kyle started in P15. Formula Talks as well, the one and only scene. As he gets P2, probably, maybe P3. No, I'm not talking, don't worry. Eddie's still trying to catch P4. Eddie makes a move for P4. Round the outside. Ooh, Jarno spins, loses a position. Ooh. I don't know if this will have some consequences on Kyle, to be honest. I will definitely ask him in the post-race interview. Now we have Juicy here trying to unlap himself for Kyle. Will we have a Verstappen Ocon moment? As we are into the final lap, as Carter takes P1 and wins the very first Formula Talks League Racing Race 1 in Australia. Formula Talks himself takes P2. Very well done. Eddie taking P3, showing great pace the whole race. We have Kyle here in P4, who had an amazing race from Kyle. I would definitely interview him after the race. Jarno P5, we'll interview him as well, just to see what happened there. Kilian P6, well done by him as well. We have Pocho on P7, had an amazing race as well. Alex unfortunately dropped back. Eclectic Nerd taking P9. Tyler and Felix unfortunately lost a lot of positions when they synchronized and spun into the same corner. Tyler still taking P9 as he kills himself over the line. Felix P11, unfortunately no points in the very first Formula Talks race for our last year's champion, as we have Itzkura still fighting off Kimi on the last line. Does he take P12? Yes, he does. He takes P12. As I will now interview Smile It's Kyle. Smile It's Kyle showing some great pace today into the race. Unfortunately, I can't interview P1 as I don't have him on PlayStation. We'll go with Kyle first, then we'll definitely do Formula Talks. Here we have it, the final stands. Carter in the Ferrari P1. Formula Talks from P5 to P2. Eddie stayed on position. Smile It's Kyle from P15 to P4. Jarno P10 to P5. Kilian P11 to P6. Pocho as well, P12 to P7. Unfortunately for Alex, very unfortunately, from P1 to P8. Eclectic Nerd P6 to P9. Tyler P7 to P10. My man Kyle.
Hello Summer, how are you?
What an amazing race, my man.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
P15 to P4.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
What I want to know, what happened with Jarno into the last few laps?
Oh, well, basically I was trying to overtake him and I had the better tyres, I was going faster and I was going on the outside and I think I just put the power down too early and I had a lot of oversteer. I didn't know I actually touched him, so I do want to apologise to him.
Yes, I am now doing the interviews for the live stream right now.
I'm sad that it ended out that way, but
yeah, it was sadly enough to end it, the duel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it, of course.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was intentionally anyway. I don't think there will be any consequences to that as well. I mean,
yeah, because I had a 3-second penalty anyway, so I thought I'd finish behind him, but I just wanted to overtake him on track. I don't know, I want to apologise to him because I didn't want to.
You had an amazing race anyway, great strategy as well. The only guy starting on the mediums.
Yeah, I wanted to take a risk, you know.
You You
Obviously,
took
there
the
are
risk,
faster
but you managed to
drivers.
pull it off indeed.
Yes, there are. Yeah, there are faster drivers in this league, so I want to try something different. Plan B. So yeah. Yeah.
Now, I will let you go now. You can go, you can stay, I don't care. I'm going to invite the next guy to interview. Who's next? Formula Talk, so an amazing race as well. Sneaky self-promo, Sam. Alright, Sam, when I'm done with the interviews, I will interview as well, don't worry. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
The one and only Formula Talks himself.
Come
Amazing
on.
race, to be honest. P5
Yeah,
to
thanks, man.
P3. Showed a lot of pace, a lot of pace.
P3 or P2?
P2, sorry.
It was
I
P2
apologize.
actually.
Yeah, it was P2, it was P2. I apologize.
Yeah.
It was an amazing race from you, to be honest. Showed a lot of
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah, it was so fun. I think I showed some pace and was really happy with P5 because the grid was really close.
Yeah, it
But I
was very
think
close in the first
yeah.
top 5, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and after that I made some moves and I was really happy with the pace in the race. Yeah, good start to a good
Yeah,
season.
it was
Also
very
for
tight with
AlphaTauri.
Eddie as well on
Yeah,
P3. It was a very
constantly
nice
within
fight.
within 1.5 seconds.
Yes. Was an
I don't know
amazing
exactly
fight.
what happened with in the race with the move. I hope it was clean.
Yeah, it looked clean on my side. I think Eddie might have
Yeah.
been on the throttle too fast in the corner.
Okay.
I mean,
I thought I touched him, but I didn't feel anything, so I hope it was just clean around the outside.
yeah, I mean, he has the footage. I think he can always show different, but for everyone here, it showed really clean overtake, to be honest.
Okay, perfect.
So don't worry about that. I think you'll be good. Did an amazing race.
Thank you, man. Thank you for commentating as well.
Of course, enjoy this podium as well. Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, you too. The next guy we're interviewing is Felix, our former champion. If you guys have some questions to ask on for anybody, let me know. Thank you, Evan.
Hello.
Felix, as a former champion of the Formula Talks race, this was not the greatest start of the league for you, as of course. Now, talk me through. What do you think about this race? What were your options? What do you think happened? What could have been better for you?
Well, I didn't see the crash yet from Tyler's perspective, so I don't want to comment on whose fault it was.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was mine, if it didn't leave enough space. There was some chaos going on. I think it was there was a crash between Sam and Harry. They were all going slowly.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like 3 wide going to turn 4, and then still 2 wide into turn 5, and then we crashed. I think
Yeah.
Harry went into our back and ended up DNFing. So I'm sorry to him.
Yeah, yeah, it was very unfortunately that it happened with you and Tyler. Both of you showed great pace during the race. Of course, as a former champion, it isn't fun to start a league like this, but you showed a lot of pace and you have the opportunity to take on many more points into other races, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, Sam says in the chat, Felix bad, Sam good, but forget about it.
I can just kick him if I really want to. I'm the
Yeah,
admin.
yeah, that's it for me. For your questions, it was very unfortunately, but that's racing, unfortunately.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, you'll be back for sure. If you want, you can go all. Now, who do we have more to interview? Sam, don't worry, I'm going to interview you. I'm going to look for Jarno right now. Great commentary, sir. Thanks.
Brr.
Jarno, my man. Of course, I
Are
want
you
to say congratulations with out racing your former rival from last
Oh!
year, Felix.
Feels good, but he's my teammate, so I kind of wanted him
Yeah.
to do well. But
He is your teammate, which is ironically enough. Of course, he got into a crash with Tyler and some other people.
I saw, yeah.
Which was
I heard him
unfortunately-
scream. So.
But yet you pulled it off and you outraced him. How does it feel?
Fucked, because my race was fucked. I have to say my overall performance does not feel good, considering I was catching Eddie, Asim, and I was equal with Kart Racer on race pace, but my quali pace was just fucking horrendous.
Quali pace was a little bit off, but race
Well,
pace,
I was like 5/10 off, 5/10 up on my last run, but
Yeah,
then I did an oopsie in the last corner.
Now, my question:
yes.
last few laps, what happened with Kyle?
Well, like, okay, it was a racing accident. I'm not gonna blame Kyle or
Kyle
blame
got
myself.
a 3-second penalty for it as well.
Oh, Kyle was getting a 3-second penalty for that.
Yeah, he got a 3-second penalty for that from the race game itself, from the game
Oh,
itself.
wow.
So he got
But
served
like,
for it, so
yeah, what happened is I broke late and he broke late too. Of course, we're in a battle. I turned in, and as soon as I turned in, I felt a little hit on my left tire, and he hit me. But it was just a mixture of me understeering because a 60% hards, very cool,
yeah.
and him being also on a little bit worn softs and just a little underestimating the fact that I was there. But oh well, things happen, and the race got kind of my way because I still don't know how I figured out to get past Harry and Sam and all those guys within a millisecond. That was fucking crazy.
Now, of course, Kyle, he kind of hit you, kind of not hit you in the last few corners. Talking about Kyle, he qualified in P15 and ended the race in P5, P4.
I know him. He's a guy that doesn't qualify, awaits the carnage, and does the better strategy. That's Kyle for you. So
everyone was out on softs as well. Kyle only on the mediums.
I know.
He really outraced everyone almost with the.
Yeah, because the mediums are just so much quicker than the hards, and it's just not possible to start on worn hards and then make it on the mediums. So. He did the smart thing. I mean, I wanted to show my pace in quali, which was not the thing I better. I could have probably even finished P3 with Kyle's strategy. But oh well, we move on to the classic car in Abu Dhabi, Tennyson Red Bull, which is a good thing. I hope my quali pace will be better.
Classic car.
I am very excited. I mean, my quali pace is. It's just not there. It's never really been there on the wheel. On the control, you probably remember it. I got pole in Brazil and pole in what's the other race? I don't remember. But I got pole twice with the controller. So the pace was there, but I'm just a lot more consistent on the wheel. Not as quick in quali. Probably I'm quicker, but not as quick compared to the others. So I guess there's some work to do. And also for Felix.
Yeah, the team has to come together for a moment.
Yeah, but I mean P5, at least some solid points for me and the team. I can't really complain.
As long as there are points, there can't be any.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I mean, I literally told Felix today and all the other guys, like, I'd rather finish P4, P5 for the whole season instead of having one win. I mean, I guess this is a good start, and if I can keep it up P4, P5 every race, I will be a contender in the championship without getting on the podium. So,
of course.
No, consistency is key in these kinds of leagues. So I'm happy to,
especially when it's this
be
close
there.
in Split 1, because quali was so close.
Yeah, quali was fucking close. So to be so much quicker than some other guys. Like I was marginally quicker than Kilian, like 3-4 tenths a lap. So I was gradually building a gap to him. I was gradually closing down the gap in front. So there are some positive things to take away from this race. So I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy to
overall,
be.
Overall, it was a great result. If you look at where you.
Overall, if I look F1 2020 insecureness about my pace, I feel like I've done pretty well to catch the leaders, kind of, until I also got a little bit on the grass mid race, which ultimately led to Kyle overtaking me.
I saw that,
Just was a meh moment, but I guess those little things happen. Considering this was my first real 50% race with no assists, I'm happy.
It was alright.
I'm happy. You know, consistency is key. So
you should be happy with your result. Anyway.
Yeah, I am happy. But if you look at the race, then it's a bit disappointing. But
it's the first
race.
A lot can happen.
Yeah, of course. Solid points on the.
Yes, I will let you go now as I have 2 more interviews to do. Yes, I'm inviting Eddie and Sam, both of them. I definitely will, yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was. He showed great
But yeah,
pace.
we'll see what all the 20 guys are there, including
Yeah.
BK and
yeah,
some
of
other
course.
faces we missed. So we will see what happens in
for sure.
in Abu Dhabi. Will be exciting.
Alright, see you later. Bye. As we have 2 more interviews, Eddie and Sam. Me next, please. Yes, I will. I will invite you and Eddie at the same time, and I'll tell Eddie to mute himself real quick. If I can find him in my list. Eddie, my guy. Hello, hello. Hello. Sam, my man, tell me about your race. It was a roller coaster, as you said.
Yeah, well,
it
was certainly quite an interesting race. And just before I start, when you go onto like the menu and it covers up with like the blue screen on the stream, you can't actually hear the other person. So some of the interviews were sort of cut short because you can hear it, just to let you know. Anyway, the race.
Yeah.
I think we should start with qualifying. Qualifying was okay. I think I stringed an okay lap together. Couple of small errors, but I don't think it was too bad. They might have cost me a couple of spots because it was very close in the midfield.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was ridiculously close. I think if I was like half a tenth quicker, I'd have been on the second row. So, obviously that sucked. But starting P6. Yeah, starting P6, first lap went okay, kept my nose clean. Then I think it was Seam attacked Harry. And then I attacked Harry, understeered wide, and then we crashed.
Yeah.
Got some damage there, and then later a couple of corners later even, there was more carnage, had to take to the grass to avoid that. And then I think a lap later, I had a collision with Pocho.
Yeah, I saw that,
yeah. I think that was a racing incident. I don't think he was at fault. If anything, I was at fault, but... Yeah, no, I don't think it was.
Stream since it was like a lot of attacking at the front, so.
Yeah. Then I got damage from the various collisions. Had to pit. That was obviously screwed my race a bit. So I fit the hard tyre on, went long, and sadly I disconnected a couple of about halfway through. That cost me a few seconds. So yeah, when I rejoined. Pitted about 10 laps in the end for softs. Sadly, I couldn't catch up and get P7, so I had to settle for P9.
Yeah.
But it's slightly frustrating, but it's life. I think there are some positive signs. I had some decent race pace. Yeah. I was similar pace to like Killian, Felix, which is definitely encouraging for this long season ahead.
Yeah.
I'm obviously still improving, getting used to the wheel. I think I needed to make a bit of a statement, I think, and I think I made it. I finished ahead of Felix. He didn't have the greatest race in the world, but I still beat the reigning champion.
Yeah, that's always
so
an
it's definitely
feeling,
not. Yeah. So it's definitely not a bad start for someone who a few weeks ago wasn't even going to be in this split. So
yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I
That's
don't think
true.
it was,
Yeah.
I don't think it was bad for a Split 2 driver.
You made a very big statement showing here I belong here in Split 1 with
Yeah.
coming back, taking the points still.
Obviously, the aim now is to not slip back to the bottom 5 in the standings.
That's true. It's only the first race,
That
of
would
course.
be a bit of a disaster. So yeah, long season to go. Not really going to comment too much on my chances because
Yeah.
you know every race is a
Yeah.
different race, different conditions. So we'll just have to take each race as it comes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you showed the pace. You showed you were there. Made the statement. I belong here
Yeah.
in Split 1 with the first race. So the season will give you a lot of more opportunity to show what you
Yeah.
can do for sure.
I think also should say well done to Kart Racer and Kyle.
Yeah.
They both drove great races today.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
So yeah, obviously well done to them. So yeah, definitely an up and down race, but yeah, it was good.
Alright, now you can go. I have one more interview to do and then we're done for
Alright.
today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Right, Eddie, my man.
Well, hi.
P3, my man.
An
P3.
interesting debut. A
You
very
showed
interesting
a lot
debut.
of pace in quali and in the race itself.
Yeah, I mean, the lapping quali was really tidy. I mean, corner cutting was on regular, and I
Yeah.
did not. I think the lap would have been valid even with strict on the quali, so I was very happy with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I made one position of the start, was on second, but then, the leader ahead, had a little incident, but the
Yeah.
Ferrari was just way too quick behind me. It was no point in fighting him. Yeah, and then me and Formula Talks we were extremely similar on pace, but I made a mistake at the
It was
high
so
speed
close
chicane. It was
racing the
either
whole time, yeah.
yeah, it was either cut the chicane or crash, and I chose cut the chicane and got a 3 second. And after Formula Talks overtook me, I was like, I saw Jarno was behind us, and he was very rapid as well.
Yeah.
I chose to stick behind him, secure a podium rather than risk it, and who knows
Yeah,
what
that's
would have
really good.
happened.
That's a very smart move you made there as well. Qualifying itself was very close. You were on pole for a few seconds. I really thought you would have pulled it off, to be honest, not gonna lie.
I could have pulled off maybe 3 more tenths, but not much more. It was a really good lap from the other guys.
Yeah, now looking at
A promising debut.
Looking at your pace, of course your debut, looking at your pace in the race and quali, what do you think about this season? Where do you want to end now if you now finally could see test yourself?
I will not have an objective for a final position. I just try to take every race one by one, score points consistently, and just take it from there.
Yeah, that's a smart move to make, you know. You don't shoot yourself into the foot, you know, if you say that, so.
Yeah, and to be honest, this was not a very representative race. I mean, the reigning champion got caught in some interesting fights, so yeah, up and down first race. Definitely could have got second, first no way. The leader was just very fast, but I'll take the positives and move on to the next race in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, of course, Abu Dhabi Classic Cars will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. That's better to
Alright,
the handling move.
You had an amazing race. You can go now. You can enjoy.
Yeah, talk to you later.
Yes, talk to you later, my man.
Goodbye.
Bye. Alright, everyone. Thanks for watching this race. It was the first race of the Formula Talks Season 2. Was an amazing race. A lot of fighting. Fortunate of the crash from our reigning champion, Felix. But these things happen in racing. Next year we're back for Abu Dhabi in the 2010 Red Bull. So I'll see you guys then.